area, partly. My father was a doctor in Atlanta. We lived in Buckhead. He bought this place we call Lakapani from two shooting moonshiners back when we were very young children. And we watched this place transition from area that had small farms with very proud, hard-working farmers. You can still see one of them, my next-door neighbor, Mr. Lackey. His family's been here since the 1830s. You'll never see Mr. Lackey in a grocery store. He still grows and cans his own vegetables, has his own meat, and very self-reliant type person. My background is I grew up in Atlanta, went to Atlanta public schools, went to University of the South, college, then spent 4 years in the Navy. My last year and a half was skipper of a swift boat, Vietnam. Survived 144 combat patrols there. When I got out of Vietnam, I went to the Wharton School, got an MBA, basically in marketing and finance. Wharton was really oriented more to the big corporate type environment, and I'm basically not wired that way. I wound up more interested in small businesses. After a very brief stint in Atlanta in real estate, I joined a company that was doing international business. We were setting up companies overseas and doing something that was really out of the ordinary, and that was exporting U.S. products. And part of it was the Far East. We really did stuff all around the world. And I spent several years traveling all over the world, just about everywhere. And believe it or not, all these things that were so impossible, turned out people loved Americans, and they liked our products. It's just you needed to go out and try it and do it. When we grew, I need to say, when I was fortunate enough to meet Betty Ann and get married to her, she's several years younger than me, and much better looking. Our kids, it was normal at night, we get phone calls from all over the world. And my little daughter Elizabeth would say, Kay, she's on from Korea, and she'd chat with him, or Mr. Suthin's, from Thailand, or Mr. Kachikabola's from Nigeria, he's on, can you talk to him? Or Pepe Font would be in. It was just sort of this way in our household. It was a real neat experience. The other part of that, though, that I really enjoyed was a lot of it involved starting up new businesses. And you learned a lot of basic things in business, what works and what doesn't. One of the things I was always concerned about if I was looking for a new partner is how he ran his company, he or she. I learned that the best companies were the ones where the owner was very engaged. His business and his organization reflected the fact that he put his customers first. Didn't have fancy offices, but they were very functional. He probably was not driving a very expensive car and had all of his kids on the payroll. Usually he'd be driving sort of a nondescript car, and every penny he made was put into making this product the best it could be, and his salesmen were well paid and happy and worked hard or they wouldn't be there. And when tough times came, as they always did, they would survive. And when the tough times were over, they wouldn't have the competition. They'd have a lot more business. The ones that seemed to fail were the ones that were just the opposite, that did have the opulent type offices and drove all the fancy cars, and usually the owner was a little bit inaccessible, and you just found those people didn't seem to work out and work as hard as the others. The other thing that I learned in a lot of business activities here and abroad is really important to have your business partner have skin in the game. I found it was really bad if you gave your money and financed everything for your partner. They just didn't really guard your money as well as if it was their money or it was their time. Generally, the best way we would work is we'd have our expertise and give our products, usually from the USA, and they would sell them, and I made sure they made a lot of money and their customers were happy. Those lessons, I think, have carried over, and reason that I'm really running now is I'm hoping that I can use these skills in the situation we're in right now. Why am I really running? This is, Betty Ann's, my third time through this kind of experience where we go into a community that was in its nascent stage, and we'd be promised that it was going to be nice and stay the way it was, a wonderful quality of life. The next thing you knew, these things were murmurings in the dark and things would be going on. Next thing you know, suddenly this dense development was pop up, and you'd find it'd take you 45 minutes to get home. Quality of life was down. It seemed like you really didn't have any control. Well, this is our third time, and this is my home now. My sister Marion and I, a lot of our lives were here. I planted in the soil here and grown things, and my sister and my brothers, we all swam this lake, fished, rode horses, did all the things when you're growing up, and and loved and met the local folks who were here. Dean Rusk, incidentally, who was the Secretary of State of the U.S. during Lyndon Johnson, was born and grew up on 2 ridges over here. His family used to go to Chadwick Store. They looked just like him. But this is a special place to us. And in 2005, when Betty Ann is a year or so, a couple of years after Betty Ann and I moved up here, and we basically redone this place. Some things that helped us out. But this pleasant young lady came by and said that the unincorporated Fulton County was coming to an end. We had to join a city, and she wanted us to join Milton. Roswell was after us very aggressively because we're kind of on the border between the 2 cities. And this pleasant lady described a rural area that had the same values that we had, that you have, and said we were going to maintain it for the people that are refugees here. There are a lot of folks who have moved down here where you were driven out by high taxes or abusive regulations make it hard to do business. They also were interested in this. It was something that appealed to them. Low taxes and minimum government. We were promised this, and we got into this, and things were going along all right, and suddenly crabapple happened. And isn't this strange? So I started going to the meetings in the Planning Commission and otherwise.